Hello and welcome to the source control tutorial for Comp 167. We're going to go over today how to use Git and GitHub to complete a major programming assignment for Comp 167. So the assumptions that we're starting with in this video are that you have a GitHub account and you have the Git client and the Git command line tools installed on your machine. On Windows, that would be the Git Bash application. On Mac OS and Linux distributions, that would be just the Git command line tools that you can use from your terminal. If you don't have either one of those things, head over to our resources page at ncatcs.github.io before we continue. Okay, once you have both of those things installed, you will receive a invite link that looks very similar to this one from your TA for your assignment. You'll navigate to that link, and essentially what this is going to do is prompt you to accept the assignment, and it's going to create a new private repository for you. You'll have access to this repository, as well as the TAs and your professor will all have access to this repository, but no other students. So that gives you your own workspace that we can manage and help you out with. And as you can see, it starts with all of the files that you will need for your major programming assignment. Now, sometimes there may be additional files that are developed as the major programming assignment progresses, and those will be automatically pushed to your GitHub repository when needed. So now that you have your GitHub repository, you need a local copy on your computer to work. So we'll get the clone link here, and again on Mac OS and Linux, we're just going to use our terminal. On Windows machines, you want to use the Git Bash application to run Git. So I'm going to go to my Documents directory, change directory Documents, and I want to see, have I created a Comp 167 directory yet? I have not. So I want to have a Comp 167 directory to hold all of my files related to this course, all of my Git repositories for this course. I want them in one place, and so I'll use mkdir to make Comp 167, and you can see now it's right there. Now you may already have a Comp 167 directory at this point, and that's fine. You just need to navigate to it from the command line by using this cd command and the ls command. Cd is to change directory, and ls is to get a listing of the current directories. Now notice I can cd multiple levels at a time. I can cd to Documents and then into Comp 167 in one step. And now my working directory right here is Comp 167, so I'm in the right spot. And now it's time to clone my repository. This is our first Git command that we're using, and we're going to type git clone repository name. Notice that on Git Bash you won't be able to paste like that. You actually have to right click and choose paste on Git Bash. The standard keyboard shortcuts do not work. Mac OS and Linux, you're fine. So git clone and then the link that I copied from GitHub, and if you notice these lines of feedback that I get: remote counting, blah blah, unpacking, checking connectivity, done. If you get anything other than that, you may have had an error, and you should make sure that your repository cloned correctly. Now, if I run the ls command, the listing command, I can see now I have my major program 1 directory. So I'd like to cd into that before I continue, because my repository should always be my active directory. And now you can see my repository right here is listed as my active directory. So that's cool. And the next thing I need to do before I get started is create a working branch. You never want to work on the master branch. In fact, on these major programming assignments, you will not be able to push changes to your master branch. Your master branch is strictly for code that your TAs have already graded. So we don't allow pushing to the master branch. If you try pushing to the master branch, you will get an error, and you'll have to see your TA to help you get your commits on the correct branch. It'll take some work, but we will help you out and get it fixed if you do make that mistake. So to create a new branch, git checkout B, and I'm going to have a level 1 branch. So it's a git command. I would like to check out a new branch, but this branch doesn't yet exist. So to tell Git that I want to create it, I use this -b flag, and then I give the name of my branch, level 1. There can be no spaces in branch names. That's very important. So in place of a space, I used a hyphen. I am now on a new branch, level 1, and I can confirm this by typing git branch, and I see I have my master branch, and the asterisk is next to my level 1 branch. So I've cloned my repository, and I've created a working branch. I am ready to get started on actually coding up this project. So I want to take a look at my directory. From git bash, the command to open your directory is explorer space period. On Mac OS, it's open space period, and on Linux, open space period should also work. So that just means open in the default file explorer the current working directory, which is what the period represents. So I want to take a look at my PDF, see what my instructions are. I can scroll down, see what I'm supposed to be doing for level 1. Alright, looks like fun. Let's get to it. Notice, I don't have a NetBeans project here, so I will need to create that first thing. And we're loading. Okay, so once NetBeans has launched, I'd like to create a new project, obviously a Java application, as most things in this course will be. I believe it gives pretty specific instructions that this should be called Brick Breaker Student. And project location is very important, because if I don't put it in my Git repository, well, Git won't know to track it. So I have to choose my Git repository as the location and finish. Now I have my new project, I have my new main class, and I'm ready to begin coding at this point. Now I've completed my project. I've done a thing. I've committed I've completed one functional step. I didn't have a project, now I do. The project works just how it is. So it's time for me to commit. So the way that I'll do this is I'll do git space add space period. And what this does is it adds all changes in the current working directory, which, remember, is my whole repository, is my current working directory, to the staging area. So it says, hey, any changes that have been made in my current working directory, I want to commit those. And Git says, okay, I will track those. And if you want to check, we can run git status and we can see all of these changes are to be committed. So Git said, okay, you want all these changes will be committed. And now I run git commit m create NetBeans project. And once I've done that, the last step is git push. Now, because this is my first push on a new local branch, I'm going to get an error. Notice fatal lets me know that there was an error. Anytime you push to a new branch for the first time, you need to set the upstream. And Git very nicely gives you the command for that. So now, once I've done this git push set upstream one time, I can git push in the future and it will be just fine. So I have created my project. I've committed and pushed those changes. I'm ready to make my next change. So now that I've made my first commit, it's time to continue working on my project. So my next thing is going to be to make my brick row class. That's the first class that I need to make on level 1. I'll create that in my Brick Breaker student package. So I've created my brick row class, and it is time to declare my variables. And point value, a color, and an int array. Sorry, the corrections actually say this should be a Boolean array, as I'm sure all of you found out during your last major program, called brickmask. Now, of course, there's an error I need to resolve. I want to import my JavaFX color. Pretty much any UI component in this class, you'll be using JavaFX, not java.awt. So you should always choose the JavaFX one if given an option, unless specifically told otherwise. And now I need to, sorry, wrong thing, refactor, encapsulate fields. I want my getters and setters for point value and color. Notice there are specific getters and setters for for brick mask, I don't want generic getters and setters for those, so I just want to go ahead and refactor these two methods. I'll make brick mask private, and okay, so now I've got all of my private variables and all of my getters and setters for those variables. And so I have fully created this class with its fields. Of course, I've got a couple methods left to make, but for all intents and purposes, this class now exists. So I'm going to call that a logical change. Once I've made that logical change, I would like to commit it. Again, git add period, git commit -m, create brickrow class. Remember, imperative voice for your git commit messages, because these changes are still being done on my working branch on level 1. They're not being done on my master branch yet, so I can't call them completed changes. I can't say I created brickrow class. I can say that this commit will create the brickrow class when it's merged. So remember that voice. It really separates people who understand the ins and outs of Git from people who can slap their hands on a keyboard and use Git commands. So we want to be the people who fully understand how this works. So we've made that commit and git push. Now it's not important, it's not necessary that you push after every commit. Personally, I do. As long as you push before you're done working for that day. So like when I stand up from this computer and go somewhere else, I need to push before I walk away from the computer, so that all my commits will go up to GitHub. And we can, if we type git status, we can see your working branch is up to date with origin level 1. So there's nothing to commit, and all my changes have been pushed. So if we look here on our GitHub page, you can see level 1, and it has the Brickbreaker student project with the source file, and it has brickrow, and it has all of that. So now I have completed all of level 1. You can see my brickrow class is complete, my level class is complete, and my Brickbreaker student has some code to test that, and I have run it and seen that it works, and I'm satisfied with this. Everything's ready to go. So I've committed and pushed, and now it's time to open a pull request. Okay, so what we want to do is go to the pull request tab, select new pull request. We want to compare our level 1 branch with our master branch. We want to basically see the changes made between master and level 1. You can see all the changes right here, and that's what your TAs will be looking at for grade. So we'll create the pull request. And for reviewers, we would like to select our 2 TAs, and then that's all you need to do. Okay, so pull request is open. Now I happen to have administrator privileges on these repositories, but you guys will see red X's here because they can't be merged until one of your TAs reviews it and approves it. So let's see what that'll look like. I will get your pull request or review request, and I will come take a look at your files. And obviously these generated files I'm not really going to look at, but what's important is your source files. And I can look down here and see, oh, okay, you tested it there. Okay, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. And maybe I have a comment to make. Now, this is my example solution, so I've tested it pretty thoroughly, but let's just pretend, hey, I'd like to see a max num bricks of 30. Please update. And let's say that's the only change I find, so I'll go ahead and request changes. Please see my comment. Let me know when you've fixed it. But in the meantime, of course, you're over here and you have started level 2. And notice, when we're starting a new level, my level 1 changes have not been merged into master yet. So if I make my new level 2 branch off of master, what's going to happen is I won't be able to have any of my old code. I'll have to make a new project and I'll have to make a level in Brickrow again, and that's just not smart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have level 1 as my active branch, which it currently is, and then I'll make a new branch, which basically makes the base of this branch level 1. So my new level 2 branch has all the changes that my level 1 branch has, but here is where I will add some new things. So let's see, I need to make the Brickbreaker IO class, and let's commit that change. And remember, first push from a new local branch, so I'll have to copy and paste. And we're good to go. Okay, so, but I started on level 2. Let's actually go ahead and declare our... Let's see, this should be public static level read config file, and just for now, let's say I just want the basics of this method to be implemented. So create empty read config file method. And notice I added this return statement before I committed, because what I don't want is to commit anything with compile errors like this right here. So even though this is just a placeholder, I made sure that there were no errors in my code before committing, because what you commit should always be a working copy of your code. Now, let's say I've started this work on level 2, and then I go check my level 1 pull request. Oh, that's weird. And oh no, I've got changes requested from one of my TAs. So I need to fix that. So remember, this is on level 1, so I'll do git checkout level 1. And if we come back to NetBeans, we'll see our Brickbreaker IO class disappeared, because we're back on level 1. That makes sense. We want the constant that I made in Brickrow to be 30. So I'll make that change. And then I'll commit it. Update num_bricks to 30. So I've done that thing. We'll go ahead and push it. And notice, I haven't done anything on GitHub at all. But once my push is done here, my changes show up. So here's my last commit, update num_bricks to 30. It showed up in this pull request automatically, nothing done by me. The only thing I do need to do is I need to let my TA know that I'm ready for another look. I made the changes you requested. Please take another look. And notice this @ tag is what actually sends the TA a notification. So that @ tag is very important. So let's go back to the TA screen. And changes have been made. Please take another look. And I can see the changes that my student made. And I like it. That's what I was looking for. So at this point, I will approve these changes. And when I approve your changes, I will go ahead and merge your pull request. What that merge does is let's look at master. Now, because this merge was completed, your master branch now has everything that was previously on your level 1 branch, which is cool. Now, you remember, your master branch is your graded code. So like at this point, I've already written down level 1 points for you. You've got them. You're good. Here's the thing. This change was made on level 1 after we created our level 2 branch. So if we look at our level 2 code, in BrickRow, numbricks is still 20. Now, in this particular change, that would be pretty easy to fix. But if it was a big change, or really any change, this is the easiest way to do it, but especially if it's a big change, you're not going to want to go through and manually make all those changes on level 2. That would be insane. So, we have this tool. What we'll do is a git checkout of master and a git pull. This fetches the most recent copy of master from GitHub, and it merges it with your local copy of master. So now my master is up to date. It's got all of my level 1 changes, including that numbricks increase. So once I've updated my master, I can go back to level 2. So I would like to get all the changes in master into my level 2 branch. I have most of them, but remember, the one thing I don't have is this numbricks update. So I'm going to do git merge master. Because my active branch is level 2, and I'm doing git merge master, it's taking all the master changes and it's putting any that level 2 doesn't have into level 2. So you may get this commit message to say this is basically a text editor. This is called the Vim editor, or the Vi editor, and you can just :WQ is all you need to type here. Remember, that's a colon, not a semicolon. A colon. You have to hit shift. And my merge is completed. So now, when I come back to NetBeans, if I go to BrickRow, numbricks is 30. Just like that, my level 2 branch has my most up-to-date information, and I'm ready to keep working on level 2 without any problems whatsoever. This is a process you may have to repeat several times, because we'll give you guys feedback about how you can improve your code, what may be actually wrong in your code, or just ways you can make your code better. And this merge step is very important for updating your later working branches. So keep that in mind. Again, if you have any questions, you can come up here to the Issues tab on your repository, make a new issue, say, help, this is my question, and just assign it to your TA, and we'll get right back to you. Okay? This is the best way to ask for help on a major program, because when we see these issues, we can not only use code blocks and all that kind of stuff, but let's say I want to reference a specific piece of your code. If I want to reference a specific piece of your code, I can use GitHub's tools to put that right in line. And we can have great context for our conversations. Everything stays in one place. It's easier for us as the TAs to keep track of, because there are a lot of you. Of course, so feel free to ask any questions as an issue, and then when you're satisfied with the answer that we've given, you can just go ahead and close the issue. Once that issue's closed, we know that you've gotten a satisfactory answer, and you're good to go. Okay, so that is the introduction to using Git and GitHub with Comp167 major programs. You can always refer to ncatcs.github.io. That is a new and improved URL that isn't quite so odd to get basically text summations of all of this stuff. So you can check here. You can have issues here, and of course you can see your TAs during office hours that we hold in Cherry 124. You can check faculty information on Blackboard for more information about when our office hours are. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you've learned a lot and are confident on taking on your next major programming assignment with GitHub. Thanks so much.